Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Mission Employable podcast. My name is Ryan West. I am your host. Thank you for listening to us today. We're in studio, so if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you very much. We have a huge collection of videos that we're now building on YouTube with our podcast guests as well, so we can't thank our guests for doing that enough, especially today's guest. Director Townsend is back with us today. I think it's the third or fourth time? Third time. Okay, yeah. And we have a great show for you today, and we're going to be talking all about our new business engagement rollout. What just happened this week was pretty amazing because there's a lot of work that's gone into it. We're going to talk about all that. Iowa Workforce Development and our IowaWorks affiliates out in the great state of Iowa are excited to meet with more businesses in Iowa and help them solve their workforce needs. And we've talked about this a long time, and I know this is near and dear to your heart, and the governor's office is 100% behind it too. And again, Director Beth Townsend is joining us on the microphone. Welcome to the Mission Employable podcast. Welcome back.
Thank you,
for
Ryan.
making time.
Good to be here. Always good to be here and be here with you and talk all things workforce, among other things.
Yes.
So we're excited because this has been a long time in the planning. If you remember back to the condition of the state speech, Governor Reynolds talked about her desire to have a one-stop shop for employers to help create awareness of our resources, to help create access and improve access for employers to all of the workforce programs and resources the state has available to them. So we're excited to kick this off. Out meeting with employers already. I met with 2 yesterday, really enjoyed it, and I'm really looking forward to doing a lot more.
Yeah, and there's a lot of work that's gone on into this and putting it all together, including a new team, part of a new division, and a lot of those folks are going to be coming on with us too over the next 4 to 5 weeks. Let's kick this off because we really probably could do 2 or 3 episodes just with you on this. I really can't stress that enough because I know how much you've been talking about wanting to do this for some time. Let's kick the interview off. How the premises came about with this business engagement initiative and the long-term commitment that we wanted to make to it.
Well, Governor Reynolds was hearing from employers about difficulties in finding workforce, and she had several roundtables around the state where she met with business leaders and she took feedback from them. And one of the overwhelming messages she heard from almost all employers, whether it was at the roundtables or in her individual meetings or just whenever she met with them, talked about it's difficult to know where to go to find help.
Yeah. For sure.
We don't always know, and we don't always know what help's available. And so, as she talked about in the condition of the state speech, we have to make that easier. We can create all the programs we want in the state of Iowa, but if employers don't know about them or don't know how to use them, or we make it too hard for them to use them, they are of no value whatsoever. So we're really trying to streamline the process. We're trying to help employers navigate the system. We're trying to improve the efficiency and alignment of the system. We really just want to make it, so that employers have one phone number, one email, one person they can call and say, today in my life cycle of my business, I need help with growing my talent pipeline through registered apprenticeships. Maybe they're at a point where they're trying to do some layoff aversion. So what can you do for your shared work program? All of those things are available to assist. I need to train some folks. What can I do, or how do I access the 260 EF&G programs? Anything we can do to help a business develop that pipeline, we want to be able to do it.
Yeah, well said. And there's a lot of changes just digitally that we're doing too. We're looking to revamp our website. Certainly things like this podcast. Real quick, little off topic, but this is always fascinating to me. I've heard you bring this up several times. Is how many of those workforce program opportunities are out there in the state with that reports? Greg, can you mind talking about that real quick? Because that kind of encapsulates, well, how many really are there? A lot, more than you think, is the moral of the story.
Well, gold star for you for paying attention to what I tell you, Ryan.
Yes.
So there's over 130 workforce programs. The governor requested an inventory last year, and so they went across to all the agencies, and I believe it was 136 workforce programs across 11 or 12 different agencies. That's a lot.
Crazy. It's crazy. If you're an employer and you're already got so many different things going on, trying to build pipelines and create this talented worker field that pipeline that you can have for the next several years, it can be overwhelming, and that's one of the things we're trying to stress here with this. Great information. Okay, so that kind of leads into the next question. So this has been kicked off. It kicked off this week. We're squeezing you in for this episode today, just to align with the week. Talk about that first 100 days and how that fits into the initiative and what we'll do for the measuring there to see where we're at, because that's really key. That was very important to you in the governor's office to make sure the 100 days we really knock it out of the park.
Well, and what the governor's office also wanted us to do, in addition to meeting with businesses, is getting input from them, and then collecting that data so that we can then go back to them and say, these are the trends that we saw. These are some of the trends in terms of what we heard for feedback.
Yep.
These are things employers need. Maybe these are things they don't need or don't utilize, and here's why they don't utilize them.
Yeah.
And so we are, over the 100 days, in addition to meeting as many businesses as we can, creating those relationships with our office, we want to collect that input from them about, and I opened it up yesterday with my 2 businesses that I met with and said, in a perfect world where resources were not an issue, what do you need to drive your workforce to really move that needle and help you develop what you need, both now and in the future? And I heard pretty similar and consistent themes. So I'm hoping we hear, we will be able to document all of that, and then at the end of this process, align those needs so that we can then design the business engagement division's work moving forward based on the input we received over the next 100 days.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that's one of the things that's pretty cool about this, is that all of the tracking that's going on that's involved with it, and that's going to help us really get to the core of what employers are looking for and need. And I think we do think there'll be some consistencies in that as we go through it. You mentioned, how we will streamline the division, and that's already been on our way as well. The commitment from this agency has gone as far as creating a new division, the business engagement division. A lot of those pieces were already in here, but we moved some things around, brought on a new deputy. Talk to us what that looks like and how that really is really at the core of how this is going to work for us to serve employers.
Well, we're really excited about how the time what we took to build this team and the time that the new leaders took to develop the strategy behind the division. So Tim Goodwin, we've hired to be the Business Engagement Division Administrator. Yep. He comes to us with a wealth of not only private sector experience, but also he was administrator in the K-12 system in Muscatine and Burlington. Yep. Assistant superintendent, I believe. And so we're excited about what that brings, because hopefully that is going to help us talk to businesses and schools and increase those connections or make them easier to connect. And then we hired Kathy Anderson, who also has a wealth of experience in the private sector, but also spent a good deal of time at IEDA working under the just tremendous and amazing and awesome Debbie Durham. So we're, get a little bit of flavor for IEDA into this, which is good, because nobody knows businesses better in this state than Director Durham. Yeah,
no, two great hires. And Kathy actually helped initiate HBI.
She did,
as well. So that helps.
She launched Home Base Iowa, grew it into the very successful program we inherited, and that we've been able to hopefully keep going. Yeah, and so both of those two will actually be joining us in a few weeks on the Mission Employable podcast, and we're excited to get their point of view. They are really, shot out of a cannon and ready to go. We know there are many businesses that are centric in with their resources, and it's a little hard and overwhelming for them to understand what's going on. How do you think this will help? Because I think one of the things we've heard on the podcast, we've talked about this offline, where businesses, we're trying to help them fill that gap. It's not that they don't want the help or don't think they don't need the help. It's trying to get that navigator to get them connected with us. And so how do you think this will help put them at ease? I guess my question is, do you think we'll come out of this where employers will understand maybe what they need to do organizationally as well to do some different things to align with all the workforce programs out there? This is not about changing businesses. This is about changing the way government works. And we have always prided ourselves at IWD that we don't function like a government agency. We want to move at the speed of business to the extent that we can. Now, I understand there's some processes we have within our system that, we have streamlined, but there's only so much we can do. But in terms of business engagement, we want, this is a business unit, and we want to run it that way.
Yep.
And we want to be as responsive. We don't want to take weeks and weeks and weeks to get back to you. We want to turn things around in a single business day when you reach out and ask for assistance. Because the one thing we know about businesses, they're going to ask one time.
Yeah.
And if they don't get the help that they need, they're moving on because they just don't have time. And I don't blame them.
Yeah.
If you come to a government agency and you need assistance, outside of some areas that just have an overwhelming demand and need where it can be difficult to respond that quickly, we're not that.
Yeah.
We want to be someone you can rely and depend on. We need to build that credibility or establish that credibility with businesses. Certainly going out and meeting with them one-on-one like we're doing across the state, and it's the senior leaders on our team. It's our business engagement consultants who are going to go out and meet with them. It's our managers of our American Job Center. So we're deploying a vast team to make these connections, create these relationships, because we know there's a lot of employers out there that we've not met and that may not be aware of what we can do to help them.
Yeah.
And when we come to you and say we want to help, we have to actually be able to produce that help. We have one chance. You only have one chance to make a good impression. And so we are hoping to be very successful in making a really good impression and making it easier for employers to access all the workforce resources in the state.
Yeah, well said, Director. And as far as even changing the name of some of the titles of our marketing folks, I think to really align with what businesses are looking for and make them familiar when they hear the name of this. What are, you kind of touched on this a little bit when you said you met with your businesses, two of those businesses yesterday, but, big picture, what are some key takeaways you're hoping Iowa businesses are going to pull out from this? I know I guess you've kind of answered this in every answer, but if you were to really drive down, where would you like to see this in a year? What are your thoughts there?
Well, I would like us to be the go-to resource for businesses for anything related to their workforce, whether that's training, whether that's help finding workforce, whether that's engaging with the programs that we have to help you regardless of where you are in your business cycle. But
Right.
I want us to be that go-to agency. Now, we may not have all those programs, and they may continue to be at other agencies, which is fine. But if we can help navigate that system and make it easier, and also provide accountability. So it's not just we tell you, oh, you need to call XYZ agency, and then we pray to God that works.
Right.
No, we're gonna be accountable for that. We're gonna make sure you have a point of contact. We're gonna follow up with that other agency. We're gonna follow up with you to make sure you got what you needed.
Right.
Because that is the governor's direction. She does not want to just create another initiative or another program that looks good on paper. If we're not providing credible resources and assistance, then we failed.
Yeah.
And we're not going to fail because that's not acceptable.
No, for sure. And we've all heard you say, that the governor is extremely engaged in this, and this is a big deal for employers. And folks, you can find out more about, I really encourage everybody, if you haven't seen the press release, go out to IowaWORKforceDevelopment.gov. You can find it there, and it's in our top browser as well. It's easy to find the message we put out on this. It just went out yesterday. And there's also a link you can click to schedule a time if you want to, which we're very glad we got that into how we got fit in then, because we've noticed we've already had folks using that. So that's why we really encourage employers to do it. But we're also reaching out. We're doing pitches all around the state to get folks on there. And then we also want folks to really get used to that Iowa Works resource link that we're going to be promoting here coming down the road too. So you're not following us on LinkedIn, make sure you're doing that, because there are a lot of resources and that's a lot in there as well.
Well, and I hope that employers are listening to the podcast, because you've done a tremendous job, Ryan, not to toot your own horn, but I'll toot it for you. You've done a tremendous job in creating an a la carte menu of resources and information available about programs, whether they're at IWD, across a number of state agencies that have these programs, nonprofits. You've brought in, community colleges, all of our workforce partners. And so, if you're an employer out there and you have a question, I guarantee you there's a podcast available. It's a quick 10 or 15 minutes. It's pretty entertaining.
Yes.
So I would encourage all of you to take advantage of that library.
I appreciate you saying that. Thank you, of course. And it's funny, we had a legislator liaison reach out yesterday, and I can't stress this enough for folks around the state who are in that field. if you listen to these episodes, you're going to get a lot of information that you can really pull out. It's just good information
from
to have.
The experts, not just from us regurgitating something.
It's all about the
sent
guests, yeah. And so for your area, it is very helpful. Great information, Director. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been listening to the great Director Beth Townsend of Iowa Workforce Development, fully engaged, as are the rest of the team here under her at Iowa Workforce Development and Iowa Works and our partner staff, looking to serve and help all of the businesses in the great state of Iowa. Thank you for making time.
Thanks for having me, Ryan.
Absolutely.
It's a great team effort, and I'm excited.
Absolutely.